All right, everyone, get ready, because we are going deep into ChatGPT and how it's changing the way students learn.
Yeah, what I find really interesting is we're going past that surface level, can it write my essay stuff?
Right.
And really looking at how it affects how students learn, their motivation, and even those higher order thinking skills everyone's talking about.
And to help us with this deep dive, you brought us a whole bunch of research, right? Papers, meta-analyses, and studies galore.
I did.
I love it.
In this one meta-analysis, does ChatGPT enhance student learning? A systematic review and meta-analysis of experimental studies gives us a really good foundation.
Right.
It looked at 69 studies, so we're not just talking about stories, we're talking real data from classrooms and labs.
So let's start with the basics. Where are we seeing ChatGPT pop up in education?
Well, the research really focuses on higher education, like universities.
Okay, so like 84% of the studies are in universities.
Yeah, over 84%.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that because professors are freaking out about cheating, or is there more to it?
Well, there's that for sure, but universities are also kind of a perfect place to study this stuff.
How so?
Because university learning is all about those complicated tasks, critical thinking, and research, and that's where ChatGPT could really make a difference, for better or worse.
So are they using universities as a testing ground to see if ChatGPT can help with those higher level skills?
Yeah, exactly. They're looking at how students use it like a learning tool, like a super study buddy.
Okay, interesting. So like it's helping them come up with ideas and get explanations on tough topics and even giving them feedback on their writing.
Exactly.
So let's get to the big question. Does using ChatGPT actually help students learn better? What did all this research actually say?
It's fascinating, actually. The meta-analysis showed a real positive effect on student performance, and not just a little bit. It was a big effect.
Whoa, hold on. So is ChatGPT like a cheat code for good grades then?
Well, not so fast.
Okay.
A lot of the studies didn't really say whether students were allowed to use it during tests.
Okay, so using it to actually answer test questions would obviously make the results look better.
Right.
So we need more research that looks at how ChatGPT affects how they learn, not just if it helps them get the right answer.
Exactly. You got it.
But there's more to this than just grades, right?
Oh, there's definitely more.
Okay, tell me more.
The research also found that it had a good effect on student motivation and how engaged they were emotionally.
Interesting.
Students said they felt more interested and excited about learning when they used ChatGPT.
That's awesome. So it's not just about spitting out facts, it's about making them want to learn more.
Exactly. It seems to spark curiosity.
That's so cool.
And a desire to learn.
Wow.
There are even signs that it might be boosting those higher order thinking skills, but we have to be careful with that.
What makes you say that?
Well, those studies were based a lot on what students said they felt, not on any objective measurements.
Okay, so we need to see some hard evidence before we can say for sure.
Yeah, like problem-solving tests or standardized assessments.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This is all super fascinating, but we have to talk about the downsides, right? I mean, are we making students too reliant on AI?
It's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The research did show that using ChatGPT meant students put in less mental effort.
Isn't that a good thing? Less stress, more learning.
It's tricky.
Okay.
Some studies showed they did better and put in less effort,
Interesting.
but others were worried it could mean they weren't learning as deeply.
Like if you don't have to really think about it, are you really learning it?
Exactly. That's the question.
Wow, this is all pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
But before we go any further, it's important to remember that this meta-analysis was mostly looking at English studies and ChatGPT specifically.
Right. There are tons of other AI tools out there, and research is happening everywhere.
So what we're seeing here is just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly.
Okay, we set the stage, we've got the big picture, but let's zoom in a bit.
Okay.
I want to know what learning with ChatGPT actually looks like. What are some of the coolest things you saw in the research?
One that comes to mind is using ChatGPT for language learning.
Oh, interesting.
Think about it. Personalized vocab practice, instant grammar feedback, even creating different scenarios to practice speaking.
So instead of just memorizing verbs from a textbook, they're actually using the language.
Right. And one study even showed students' writing got way better when they used ChatGPT to practice.
Oh, wow. So things like better grammar, clear writing.
Exactly. Coherence, grammar, vocabulary, all of it.
That makes sense given how good ChatGPT is with the language.
Right.
Were there any uses that really surprised you?
There were a few.
Oh.
One study used ChatGPT to help students learn how to code.
No way.
Yeah. Imagine getting instant feedback on your code, having it explain complicated logic, or even showing you different ways to write code.
That's like having a personal coding tutor on demand.
Right. It could be a game changer for students who struggle with those abstract coding concepts.
Yeah, that's amazing. But even with those good results, we still have to worry about students becoming too reliant on it, right?
Of course.
Are they really understanding the ideas, or are they just using ChatGPT as a crutch?
That's the question we always have to ask.
Right. It's about finding that balance.
Exactly.
So speaking of downsides, were there any studies that showed negative things happening when using ChatGPT?
There were a few that stood out.
Okay, like what?
One found that while ChatGPT helped students do things faster, they actually put less mental effort in, and sometimes that meant they didn't understand the material as well.
So it's like taking a shortcut.
Right.
You get there faster,
Yeah.
but you miss out on the scenery along the way.
Exactly. Another study was worried about plagiarism.
Oh, right, because ChatGPT can write whole papers.
Exactly. And they found students sometimes relied too much on what ChatGPT wrote.
And that led to them not being original in their work.
Right.
That's a big deal, especially in school where originality is so important.
Excellent.
So it seems like finding that balance is key. Using these tools to help learning, but not letting them take over.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about what the educators think, but what about the students? What did they say about using ChatGPT?
One thing that kept coming up was how motivated and engaged they felt.
That's awesome.
They consistently said they felt more excited and interested in learning when they were using ChatGPT.
Like it made learning more fun.
Yeah, it felt less like a chore and more like they were exploring something new.
That's so important because when you're interested, you learn so much better.
Absolutely, and this could mean even more personalization in learning than we've ever seen before.
Oh, how so?
Imagine ChatGPT explaining things in a way that's tailored to what you already know, giving you practice questions based on your weaknesses, even suggesting resources based on what you're interested in.
It's like having a tutor who knows exactly how you learn best.
Exactly.
But we have to be careful, right? It's not about just telling students what they want to hear.
You're right. It's not about creating an echo chamber.
Yeah.
It's about using AI to push them further, challenge their thinking, and help them understand the world better.
So how do we make sure they're using ChatGPT to think critically, not just get answers?
It's all about how we design learning activities.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of just asking them to summarize things with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
we need them to analyze, evaluate, think from different perspectives.
So like open-ended questions, problems to solve, even debates where they have to use ChatGPT to support their argument.
Exactly. We need to challenge them to go deeper.
Okay, so we've talked about the research, the potential, the downsides, but what can educators and students actually do with this information? How do we put this into practice?
First things first, educators need to keep learning themselves.
Oh.
The world of AI is moving so fast, it's our job to stay on top of it.
So think professional development, workshops, online courses, even just playing around with ChatGPT and other AI tools.
Exactly. We need to be comfortable using these tools ourselves before we can use them in our teaching.
Makes sense.
And we have to talk to students honestly about AI. What it can do, what it can't do, and what it means for the future of learning.
It's about creating a learning community where everyone is exploring this together.
Exactly. And don't try to change everything overnight.
Right. Start small.
Yes, find
Right.
specific areas where ChatGPT can help and try different things out.
So maybe use ChatGPT to give feedback on writing assignments, generate practice questions, or create interactive games.
You got it. And be transparent.
Okay.
Explain to students how and why you're using ChatGPT, set clear expectations, and make it clear that it's a tool to support learning, not replace their own hard work.
Right. It's about giving them the power to make smart choices about how they use AI.
Exactly.
But what about testing? That seems tricky with all the worries about cheating.
You're right. We might need to rethink how we assess students.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on memorization or things they can easily Google,
Right.
we need to test for deeper understanding, critical thinking, and creativity.
So think projects, real-world problem solving, maybe even having students analyze AI-generated text.
You got it. We need to assess the things that make us human, the things AI can't do.
I love that.
Yeah,
So it's not just about educators changing. Students have a responsibility too, right?
absolutely.
How should they be thinking about using ChatGPT?
First, know the rules.
Okay.
Every school or university will have its own policies on using AI.
Right.
Some might be really strict, others might be more open. Be proactive, understand the boundaries, and always be responsible.
So check the student handbook, talk to professors, basically know what you're allowed to do.
Exactly. And beyond the rules, there are some best practices for using ChatGPT effectively.
Okay. What are they?
Be specific.
Okay.
The clearer your instructions to ChatGPT, the better its answers will be.
So don't just ask vague questions. Really think about what you want to know.
Right. And don't believe everything it tells you.
Okay.
Always double check the information, look for other sources, and use your own judgment.
So think of ChatGPT as a partner in learning, not the ultimate source of truth.
Exactly. And be careful about getting distracted.
Yeah, ChatGPT can be pretty addicting.
It can. Set time limits. Be intentional about how you use it.
Treat it like a study session, not a bottomless pit of information.
Exactly.
And remember, ChatGPT is just one tool. Don't let it replace other ways of learning.
Right.
Like reading, taking notes, and working with classmates.
Exactly.
It's about finding that balance, using AI to make learning better, but not forgetting those core skills.
Couldn't agree more.
And we're all still learning about this stuff, right?
Absolutely.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. It's a journey.
Yeah.
And we need to be open to trying new things, sharing what we learn, and learning from each other.
I love that.
Yeah, it's an exciting time.
It really is.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How this technology could change not just how we learn, but what it even means to be educated.
Right. Like if ChatGPT can write text and summaries and code, does that change what it means to be educated?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we have all this information at our fingertips, is memorizing things still important? Or should we be focusing more on critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, the things AI can't do?
You know, you're making me think that maybe education will be less about knowing all the answers and more about knowing how to ask the right questions.
Oh, I like that.
Like knowing where questions to ask is going to be super important.
It is. And not just any question, but the right question. The ones that help you understand things better, find creative solutions, and come up with new ideas.
Exactly.
ChatGPT can give you words, but it can't replace that human curiosity, that drive to solve problems.
So are we headed towards a future where being well-informed means knowing how to talk to AI? Like knowing how to give it the right instructions, understand its answers, and use it to help us think better?
It's definitely a possibility, and it's one we need to think about seriously. Imagine a classroom where students are working with AI, using it to research, brainstorm, and refine their ideas.
That would be wild.
It would. And the teacher's role might change too, from being the expert to being more of a guide, helping students navigate this AI-powered learning.
Wow, my mind is blown.
Haha, it is pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, but let's come back to reality for a second.
Okay.
This research was mostly about universities.
Right.
What about younger kids? Are there different things to think about when it comes to using ChatGPT with them?
There are definitely some unique challenges with younger learners.
Like what?
Well, data privacy is a big one.
Right, because we need to protect their information.
Exactly. ChatGPT learns from the data it's given, so we have to be very careful about what information kids are sharing.
We don't want their data being used to train AI without permission and safeguards.
Exactly.
What about how AI might affect how they develop?
Yeah.
Are we worried it could stop them from learning social skills or being creative?
Those are valid concerns.
Yeah.
We have to make sure kids are still interacting with each other, playing pretend, and developing those social and emotional skills that are so important.
It's that balance again, right? Using AI as a tool, but not replacing those essential human experiences, especially for little kids.
You got it.
Okay, we're talking about AI changing education as a whole. But let's not forget about the practical stuff.
Yeah.
ChatGPT needs internet access and some tech skills.
Right.
Are we creating a situation where some kids are left behind?
That's a really important point, and one we can't ignore.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that every student has the same chance to use and benefit from AI, no matter their background or where they live.
So that means giving them access to devices, reliable internet, and training on how to use technology.
Exactly.
And creating learning environments that are inclusive and supportive for all students.
You got it.
But it's not just about access, right? We have to make sure AI tools are designed to be fair and inclusive from the start.
Absolutely. We need to be very aware of potential biases in AI algorithms.
Right, because AI can reflect the biases of the people who create it.
Exactly. And we need to work towards creating AI systems that are truly fair and just for all learners.
This conversation is making me realize how complicated this issue really is.
It is complex.
It's not just about the technology, it's about ethics, social justice, even what it means to be human.
You're absolutely right.
So, how do we even begin to address such huge questions? It feels kind of overwhelming.
I think the first step is just recognizing how complex and multifaceted this is.
Okay.
We need to bring people together from all walks of life: teachers, researchers, policymakers, students, parents, everyone.
Like a global think tank dedicated to figuring out AI in education.
I love that idea. And in those discussions, we need to keep those core values that are essential for a fair and equitable society front and center: fairness, transparency, accountability, and respecting human dignity.
Those are great guiding principles for navigating this uncharted territory.
They are.
But let's zoom back in on the research for a minute. This meta-analysis looked at 69 studies. That's a lot of data.
It is.
Were there any limitations or areas where we need more research?
Definitely. A big one was that a lot of studies didn't say whether students could use ChatGPT during their final tests.
Oh, I see. So it's hard to know if the good results were because of ChatGPT or because students actually learned the material.
Exactly. It's like if you're allowed to use a calculator on a math test.
Right. You might get the right answer, but did you really learn the math?
Precisely. We need more studies that look at how ChatGPT affects the learning process itself, not just the final outcome.
We need to see how using these tools affects real understanding, not just getting the right answer.
Exactly. Another area is the long-term effects of using ChatGPT.
Okay.
Do those initial benefits to motivation and engagement stick around?
Right, because it could be like a shiny new toy.
It could.
It's exciting at first, but then the excitement fades.
Right. We need to see if ChatGPT has staying power in education and what its impact is over weeks, months, or even years.
Yeah, long-term studies are really important.
They are.
And don't forget, this research was just about ChatGPT.
Sure.
There are tons of other AI tools out there.
There are, each with its own strengths and weaknesses.
Right, we need to explore all of them and figure out which tool is best for which purpose.
It's like having a toolbox full of different gadgets.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use a hammer for every job.
Exactly.
You need to know the right tool for the job.
And we also need more research on how ChatGPT works for different ages and learning styles.
Absolutely. What works for a college student might not work for a kindergartner.
Right. We need to think about the needs of each individual learner.
Exactly. One size doesn't fit all.
So we've talked about the research, the potential, the challenges. But what does all this mean for the future of education? Are we about to see a technological revolution in how we learn?
I think we're at a really important moment.
Yeah.
AI could change education in profound ways, but we need to be careful and intentional about how we use it.
So it's not just about using technology for the sake of using technology.
Right.
It's about using it to help people learn and grow.
Exactly.
Imagine a future where AI personalizes learning, gives feedback tailored to each student, and creates immersive, engaging experiences that cater to their specific needs.
That's the dream, isn't it?
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Haha, it kind of is. But hopefully without the dystopian parts.
Right. It's about using AI to create a more equitable, accessible, and enriching educational experience for every learner.
Exactly.
But we can't forget about the risks, things like data privacy, algorithmic bias, and becoming too reliant on AI.
Absolutely. Technology is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It's our responsibility to make sure AI is used ethically and responsibly in education, and that it helps people reach their full potential, not limit them.
This whole conversation has really changed how I think about being an educator in the 21st century.
In what way?
It's not just about teaching facts anymore. It's about navigating this crazy world of technology and helping students find their way.
That's a great way to put it.
It's about teaching them the skills and mindsets they'll need to succeed in a world that's increasingly powered by AI.
You got it.
It's about fostering those uniquely human qualities that will be even more important in the future.
Which ones?
Things like critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and the ability to adapt to change.
Exactly. And maybe most importantly, we need to inspire a sense of wonder and curiosity in our students.
That love of learning.
Yes, a love of learning that will stay with them their whole lives.
That's beautifully said.
Thank you.
Okay, before we get lost in the future, let's bring it back to the present.
Okay.
This meta-analysis was about the impact of ChatGPT, but I'm curious about the details.
Yeah.
How are students actually using ChatGPT in the classroom?
One common way was as a writing assistant.
Oh, interesting.
Students used it to brainstorm ideas, get feedback on their drafts, even help with grammar and punctuation.
So it's like having a personal editor.
Kind of, but it's important for students to use ChatGPT to improve their own writing, not replace it.
Right, it's a tool to help them get better, not do the work for them.
Exactly.
Were there any other interesting or surprising ways they were using it?
One study found that students used it to help them learn how to code.
Really?
Yeah. They would ask ChatGPT to explain things, generate code, or even help them fix their code.
Wow, so it's like having a coding buddy right there with you.
It is. It seems like having that instant support can be a big help, especially for students who are new to coding.
It makes sense. Having that support can make a big difference when you're first starting out.
Another interesting use was in language learning.
Oh, how so?
Students would use ChatGPT to practice speaking by chatting with it in different languages.
So instead of just memorizing words, they're actually using the language.
Exactly. Some even used it to translate texts or get help with grammar.
That's amazing.
It's like having a personal language tutor whenever you need one.
It sounds like ChatGPT can really make language learning more fun and accessible.
It has that potential.
But were there any times when using ChatGPT wasn't so helpful?
There were a few studies that worried about students becoming too reliant on it.
Oh, I see.
Like some students would just copy and paste text from ChatGPT into their work without really understanding it.
That's not good.
It's like using a calculator without knowing how to do the math yourself.
Right. You might get the answer, but you didn't actually learn anything.
Exactly. And it's important for teachers to emphasize critical thinking and real understanding, even when using AI.
It's about using these tools to deepen their learning, not replace it.
Exactly.
But overall, it seems like the benefits of using ChatGPT in education outweigh the risks, as long as we're smart about it.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
This technology has the power to change how we teach and learn, but it's up to us to use it wisely and responsibly.
It feels like we're at a crossroads, and the choices we make now will shape the future of education.
The stakes are high, but the possibilities are exciting.
This has been such a thought-provoking conversation. I'm excited and curious about what's to come, but also cautious.
It's a good mix of emotions to have.
But before we wrap up, I want to talk about something really important. Human connection in learning.
Okay.
In a world where technology is everywhere, how do we make sure we don't forget about the importance of human interaction, empathy, and the social and emotional aspects of learning?
That's a fundamental question, and it's so important.
It is.
Technology can definitely improve learning, but it can never replace human connection.
Right.
We need to create learning environments that encourage collaboration, communication, and community.
So things like group projects, working with classmates, even just giving students a chance to connect with each other on a personal level. Those are all still important.
Absolutely. And it's not just about students connecting with each other.
Right. What about the teachers?
That teacher-student relationship is still crucial.
It is.
Teachers bring their own unique experiences, perspectives, and passion to learning, and that's something AI just can't do.
It's that human element. The empathy, the understanding, that feeling of being on a learning journey together that makes learning truly meaningful.
It does.
And those are the things that stay with us long after we've forgotten the facts and figures.
They are. As we explore this new world of AI in education, we have to keep those core human values at the forefront.
Values like compassion, connection, and respect for each other.
Exactly. Technology can be a powerful tool, but ultimately it's our humanity that will lead us to a better future.
Wow, this has been amazing.
It has.
I'm walking away with so many new ideas.
Me too.
But before we go, I want to bring it back to our listeners.
Yeah, good idea.
What can they do right now to prepare for a future where AI is a part of their learning journey?
That's the key, isn't it? We don't want them to just listen. We want to inspire action.
Exactly. So no pressure or anything, but what are your top takeaways for listeners who want to be proactive in this AI-powered world?
Okay, 3 things come to mind.
All right, I'm all ears.
First, and this is the foundation, embrace a growth mindset.
Oh.
The world of AI is changing so fast.
It is.
Be curious, experiment, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Right.
Learning how to learn is the most valuable skill you can have right now.
Love it. It's like that saying, it's not about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most willing to learn.
Exactly. Second takeaway, sharpen your critical thinking skills.
Okay.
AI can give you information, but it's up to you to evaluate it, analyze it, look for biases.
Don't just believe everything you read.
Especially if it's generated by AI.
So it's like becoming an information detective.
Yeah, you need to sift through the evidence and make your own judgments.
I like that.
And my last takeaway might be the most important one.
Okay, hit me with it.
Cultivate those uniquely human skills.
I knew you were going to say that.
In a world where AI can do more and more, creativity, empathy, communication, collaboration, these are going to be even more valuable.
So AI might be good at logic and data.
Right.
But we humans need to focus on our emotional intelligence, our connections with each other, and our ability to think outside the box.
Exactly. Those are the things that set us apart.
And those skills aren't just for getting a job or doing well in school.
Right.
They're about living a good life in a world that's getting more and more complex.
Absolutely.
Wow. Those are some powerful and practical takeaways.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And for everyone listening, we hope this deep dive into ChatGPT and student learning has given you some new insights, some fresh perspectives.
Maybe even spark some aha moments.
Yes. This is just the start of a much bigger conversation, and we hope you'll keep learning and exploring with us.
And if you want more deep dives into AI and education, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media.
We'll be talking about all kinds of cool stuff, from the ethics of AI to the future of work and everything in between.
It's going to be exciting.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.